economy and education, I would want to say, yes, it's good for our young people to go to school. In fact, I'm an advocate for education. But now, can we also look at the strategies that addresses those who cannot afford education? Let us come with strategies when we talk entrepreneurship that will be realistic to say some of these young people will never be able to reach matric for various reasons. It can be economic, it can be social. So maybe we still need to look at that to say, as much as we would want them to go further in terms of education, but let us provide strategies that can help them where they are. And maybe just to shorten my speech, the issue of curriculum relevance, there's a need for higher education to do more in terms of ensuring that the kind of curriculum that is provided at schools from as far as primary education is the relevant curriculum that will help young people to get to where they can afford to make a living. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pukinzi, and I believe the presenters are listening carefully and making notes where they need to. Thank you for bringing sharply some of the key issues that were raised through the presentations. And one thing that you have mentioned that is very important, I think, for the organizers of this research colloquium, Dade Ngoma, is to really look into the issue of making sure that all the relevant role stakeholders are invited and are here. Otherwise, somehow we're going to miss it if we don't have all the stakeholders in a platform such as this one. I think it's a very important point that you have highlighted there. Without repeating what you have said, I will move to the next person. Ndade.
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Tumidi Tebe. I'm representing NYDA in the province. I need to make some few maybe comments and questions regarding presentations from the above colleagues from the universities and in Treasury as well. Maybe just to make a comment. I think how entrepreneurship has been sold to young people, even from our communities where we come from, entrepreneurship is like it's a foreign thing, you know. It's like it didn't exist before, and then certain people came with it here, and then we have to learn it. And it's something that has been made as if it's a difficult thing to do, you know. That is why only 1% of our society is enjoying the benefits of being entrepreneurs. Because how it has been sold to all of us is as if it's something that is that it cannot be reached. And you can see even the support behind it, it is not as much as it is supposed to. But we need to change that narrative, and institutions of government like us and other institutions, we need to start changing this narrative and to ensure that we increase the participation of young people into this entrepreneurship. But for us to be able to achieve that, we also need to take into consideration the policies that are developed in terms of, in particular, these FDIs of government. You know, if you check the lending policy of government, and then you compare it to banks, you won't find any difference. I'm saying this with conviction because I'm a former banker, and I understand how we used to fund business in banking. And if I check it, how government funding, I don't see any difference. So remember, the president also established a red tape committee and so on. So maybe we need to get a feedback from that committee as to what they've picked up and what is it that needs to be changed, so that our people, in particular young people, can be able to access funding of government. Because as it is, it's not assisting at all. I can make few examples, but because of time, let me pass that point. just maybe to talk to the colleagues from the university. I've listened to the doctor indicating that they have developed methodologies in terms of how they can be able to increase a number of graduates to be entrepreneurs. Maybe the doctor maybe can be able to elaborate in terms of, for now, what is the success rate in terms of that, in terms of how many graduates from the University of the Free State, are now entrepreneurs. Maybe we can take it from there. And also, the university should also try to create a synergy between the academia and the entrepreneurs, because we deal a lot with young people, and in particular those who come from the institutions of higher learning. They come to us for assistance in terms of funding and so on. But if you check the quality of ideas that they are bringing, those who are coming from the universities, and then you compare it to the ones that maybe never set a foot on an institution of higher learning, theirs are far much better than the ones from the universities. And you will expect graduates or students from the university must come up with better, business ideas or solutions. But you find that those with matric or drop out from even high school, the ideas that they're bringing and the discipline that they have in terms of pushing this forward is very encouraging. So just maybe to check if there is a synergy there between what the university is doing and what is actual happening in the business world. I have so many points, but because of time, I will just talk a bit in terms of what Ndade Choman have said, in terms of collaborations of NYDA and municipalities, and maybe he should also extend that to the provincial government, because sometimes we need to ask ourselves right questions, or we need to ask right questions when it comes to the issues of young people. And one of the questions that we need to ask here in the Free State is that, is the Free State government really for the youth in terms of their programs and interventions and budgets and everything? Because if maybe Treasury can share with us as to what is the budget allocation for each and every department in the province for young people. Because we engage with these different departments, and then you'll only find a positive response maybe in one department. I'll mention one this day. It's one department that as NYD we work well with. And also we get support from the Office of the Premier. But we go to other departments, it becomes a challenge. And one thing that we will tell you is that we don't have money. So we don't have money for youth. So we need to be very serious in terms of, as a province, because I'll make an example. I don't want to make an example with provinces like Gauteng, because you will say that the economy is way different from ours. I'll just make a typical example here for provinces, the Northern Cape, our neighbors. I've just checked now, they've just launched a funding for youth, 30 million, that have put forth for youth development in the province. So just name one that we as a Free State have done in the past 3-5 years. So we need to be really serious when it comes to issues. Issues of young people should not be a by-the-way issues, or it should not be issues that we speak about if you want to look good, or to be, how can I put it, to be relevant. We only talk about them. Come June month, you see so many people involved in youth development, and I always say that, where are these people going in July? Because June, everyone is doing youth development. But because they want to be relevant, because president is here, ministers are here, and everybody wants to look good. But comes July, no one is there for young people. And also, we need to be very serious. I've been engaging with social development. I see the HOD was there, and the HOD is very positive in terms of my engagement with him of social development. Because we are not doing a lot in terms of young people with disability in this province. And then we need to do a lot in terms of that. Setting up, one of the proposals that NYD has made to social development is to set up a funding for young people with disability, so that we can be able to encourage all these young people in the province who have disability to be funded and run their own businesses and to be fully supported by the province. So we need to be very serious. We also made proposals to stay in terms of setting up a funds for graduates, for unemployed graduates in the province. And also, there are so many proposals that we have made into to the province, but if you check the response that we are getting from the province, it's starting to be very questionable as to whether are we pro-youth as a province or what. Because, like for an example, we have a proposal that we have set up to government in terms of encouraging young women, to participate in youth. Because if you check the stats, there is a very low level of participation of young women in business. So we need to come up with programs that will enhance that. So we have made these proposals, but if you check the response from our government, so we really need to be very serious when we talk of issues of youth. We don't just have to say it to look good, but we really need to be intentional about it, put resources to what we are presenting and talking about when it comes to young people. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ndadidi Tebe. I think the statement is made, and those key questions, I believe they are captured. We can move this side. I think I've seen, okay, we can go for Mayor Pinky, but I've also seen my colleague there, up there, and also another colleague on the side, if we can just capture them. I think after my last colleague will then request our presenters to respond. I think we have more than enough there.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairperson. Good afternoon, colleagues. Yes, I don't know whether should I again introduce myself, because already yesterday I was here. Maybe for the sake of people who were not here yesterday, my name is Pinky Mbebe from the Free State Legislature, a researcher on Portfolio Committee, Education, Health and Social Services. My comments also are a bit lengthy, but I will try to be very short. Dr. Pera said no knowledge is useless. I also say no comment is useless. That was just on a lighter note. Let me quickly go straight to the comments. Thank you so much to the presenters of the day. I won't cover them all, but I'll just try to be brief. The slide that Dr. Benedict alluded on enhancing graduate employability. Actually, it was about the qualifications. The qualifications are prospects for employment. They are low, as you have mentioned, Doctor, but now for me, I'm saying on the part of the low prospects, low employment prospects, one of them that I've picked up is public administration and public management. What I would like to comment on that is recently, mostly I have seen, especially on the advertisements made by the provincial government and also on the local government, they will always mention their requirements, particularly on public administration and public management, which I see now is trending more, I would say, as their requirements, that one should have at least the minimum qualification in public administration and public management. That I would say, how do you comment on that one? Let me go quickly to what you have commented on the encouraging youth to do business, particularly mostly in the one that you mostly encouraged was in agriculture and agro-processing, which is the best way to go in order to generate money these days. And which for me also, I would add on that to say, yes, it's good for our youth maybe to just divert a bit and go do agriculture and agro-processing. But thanks to APSA, because as well you mentioned partnership as from Mercy Ratio also, one of your challenges there, I will just make it one thing. Your challenges, which I picked, was lack of private and partnership. But thanks to APSA, which Dr. Benedict mentioned that they are coming on board to assist or to give training needed in terms of telling students about the real-time businesses. So coming to the rate of unemployment in our country, to say it is at 60%, right? Doctor, I think it's from Dr. Benedict's slides, I'm not sure, but I'm stand to be corrected. That is, for me, is too high to be desired, because at 60%, we really still too far to reach the target to lower the unemployment rate. In terms of what you said, Dr. Benedict, I noted regarding your presentation on enhancing the graduate employability. What I would say is, maybe we get, or we add, what are we saying about how are we supposed to cap those actually high unemployment rate, or rather to bring on board people who don't have education, to maybe encourage them to come on board so that we can keep this high rate of unemployment and bring them back into the maybe sphere of skills development, particularly those in informal economy who do not have even qualifications, so that they can be assisted to know how to get the benefit from the business, especially from the banks. Coming to the 79% globally of unemployment, which is very worrisome. My comment also would be maybe to start again go back to the basics, to say we emphasize on basic education, as I think Chairperson there also alluded on that, basic education, to start enhancing the skills from a very young age. Yes. Let me go to Mr. Chomani. You cited on youth participation age on your slide to say it's between 15 and 35 and 34 years, which is according to South African's National Youth Commission Act 1996. But I went quickly to my Google, but I know Google is not a reliable research engine, but I'll say we still have to go to Google and find out. According to what I've got, is the National Youth Policy defines youth as any person between the age of 14 and 35 years. How do you authenticate that? Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mepinki. And we've got the Dempo, and then we'll give it to our colleague, and the last, it's my colleague at the back, and that should round off our questions and comment session, and then we'll give it to each presenter to quickly respond to the comments and questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. To the organizers, I would also request that in future, we have what I would call a social colloquium. All the papers the academia has presented, it is based on the guinea pigs there in the township that you derive the information from. And there can be nothing without them for them. So it is important that the voice of the community members who are always at the receiving end also must be given a hearing. I want us to deal with what is called the pedagogy of the mind and the oppressed. Oswini, I went with her at the primary school. Nalene, we studied biblical studies and history that was irrelevant to us. And today, she's an economist. I'm just a social activist. I went to UOFS, 1994, wanted to study law. And the result of the psychometric test told me that I'm good as a social worker. So, whether that was true or not, Doc, it is how this institution of learning channel black child on what skills they deserve and what skills they cannot acquire. This morning, when I came here in Tate Choman, I came across a 21-year-old African Rebure young man. 21, who studied at UOFS, agriculture. And I asked him, why do you study agriculture? And the answer was very simple. I'm a farmer. At the age of 21, I am a farmer. Meaning he inherits what his father created for me, which my kitchen girl mother single-handedly could not afford to do for me. That is how the setup and the design of our education is being set up. And today we talk about scarce skills that black child cannot even enter into. South Africa does not have a clear industrial strategy or policy. The economic policy of government speaks to the interest of the international market and not the needs of the people of this country. That is why we are export-oriented and consumerist character type of an economy. But we need to establish industries in this country that will holistically interconnect all the disciplines of academia. I can tell you that each and everyone who's sitting here, at some point, we are victims of our own working environment psychologically, and we need a psychological help and an assistant. And you tell me that there is no space for psychologists and social workers to play a role in the economy. And your integration of social studies and that of economics, for me, they are well placed and they need to be advanced and be supported in order for them to achieve the actual objective it needs to achieve.
Ndadempo, I'll appreciate if you can just wrap up your comments.
Yeah,
so
okay,
that we
I'll
can-
try my best, Mama.
I think you should.
Yes. If we say, for us to start or to get into a business or economic activity, we don't need a big capital, dog. I disagree. Why do we have CIFA? Why do we have NEF? What their intentions are? Their intention are and should be to us to get a big capital in order to compete with our counterparts here and outside. I have a thesis, but unfortunately I don't have
Thank you
time.
so much. Thank you so much that you can conclude. We appreciate that. Please, colleague, you can continue and then we can head over to our last colleague there.
Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Babalo Oliphant. I'm from Free State Legislature. I work as a researcher in economic development. Thank you, Program Director, Dr. Pizzo. And again, let me appreciate the presenters. Presentations were well informative, and I would say that we got a lot from it. But my question is basically to Dr. Benedict and Me Serecho. Mine is just actually to require a recommendation to departments. And specifically here we're talking to the Department of Distia, because it's one of the departments that I perform my research over, because as you colleagues might know that the legislature plays oversight over the functions of the department. So one of the departments that I'm responsible over is Distia. So my question basically deals with youth development in terms of entrepreneurship. We would know that departments do provide support to upcoming businesses, like particularly youth. In this case, I will talk particularly to youth. But now you would find that because there are a number of people, or let me rather say youth, that needs support from department in terms of growing their businesses. Now, department would provide support now. And after that, they would move and go to another small business, right? And remember we had COVID, for instance. As I was producing, or I was running my business, COVID hit me, then I was unable to proceed. I want to make a particular example in terms of agriculture, because it's also another department that I'm also assessing, you'd find that at this point you are a commercial farmer as a result of the support that government had provided you. Now we have this flu that we have now of chicken, avian influenza. It hits you now tomorrow. You are no longer commercial. You are now emerging or subsistence farmer. Now, my recommendation or my question would be, to what level does the department ceases to provide support to smallholder farmers? That's what I want to get, because you would find that as we go through the annual reports and the annual performance plans of department, we keep on seeing that the department has assisted this commercial farmer. After 6 months, this person requires assistance again. Now, department is unable to move on to the other producer. So I want Dr. Benedict and Messi Recho to maybe recommend or assist to the department that when is it that you say, now we ceases to provide you with support? Now we move on, because somebody would say, there was a commercial farmer that said, yes, I appreciate the support that I got in from government. I was commercial, I was able to produce my produce, I was able to sell locally and even to small shops. But now I'm unable to do that anymore. Now I need assistance again. Now there's a backlog.
I think the
So,
point is made.
yes, thank you.
So much. The question is clear, and we're going to move to our last commenter or colleague there, and then I'm going to give to our presenters, starting from the first presenter, to really comment on the comments and questions. Then we'll wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, the good doctor. My name is Dr. Moshiro Jones from the
Can you
Provincial
repeat
Treasury.
that again, Doctor?
Omoshiro Jones from the Free State Treasury. I just want to say I appreciate all the presentation. They were quite good. But then my question, she used to be an intern in our unit before going to this year, is to the presenter 4. Now, I stand corrected and I apologize, all right? If I missed it. First, there are some gaps in your presentation. And this is a question any econometrician is going to help you, is going to ask you. And my question and brief comment is to sharpen your understanding of the work you're doing, the relevance to the national, to the province, level, and again, to encourage you, to go in this direction. Number 1, what type of methodology do you use? And I presume you will have done the preliminary diagnostic test, test for unit truth before you go into your model. And I'm sure you are using inflation-adjusted data, using real series. Because if you don't do that, then it means already you will have erroneous inference. So it did not come out in your presentation. Now, the second thing I want to find out is, do you take note? Because when I look at your quarterly variables, it's over when we have external shocks in the economy. How do you account for that? Do you use dummy variables, or what do you use? That's number 2. Number 3, now, the reason for this, if you don't do that, technically, you will have what we call misspecification bias in your model, and your inference is going to be wrong. So if you don't adjust for shock, so which means if you are going to review your paper or revise your paper, you need to take that into consideration. Then number 3, you have a very good result of statistically significance, inverse relationship between gross capital or fixed capital formation and debt. My question to you is that, what is the importance of that at the national level, and if you can distill that to the provincial level? Now, let me give you an example of what I'm expecting from your recommendation. You should have said that, of course, increase, in gross fixed capital formation has a negative effect, of course, on debt, right? On government debt. And if there's an increase in government debt, of course, gross fixed capital formation is going to be low. So, from fiscal point now, which is going to be relevant to myself or any novice or policymakers, because that's what they look for, I would have expected to say, okay, that is going to create what we call fiscal allocative inefficiency. Now, simply put, what does that mean? Because, and that is the situation we are in now, which the Dr. Mokoena was saying, because the government will want to reduce the high, exceptionally high, above 70% of its debt. What will happen? Remember, you have an interest on this debt, international, in which you have to pay. Because of higher interest rates, your cost of servicing that debt will increase. So, government will take part of its own budget, its revenue, or whatever, to cover that. Now, in doing that, it will take money away, for allocation into productive sector like construction, like trade, or like manufacturing, like agriculture. Now, that makes sense to any policymaker, that once I have a higher gross debt, and I have a lower fixed capital formation, which actually you need, theoretically, to drive economic growth, you are getting into circle of problem, so which needs to be managed. I just want you to ponder on that, and if you're going to present this paper in an econometric conference or economics conference, get yourself ready and refine your work, but I appreciate what you have done. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your comments. And yes, I'm going to give it unto our presenters to quickly, it will be 1 minute, not 3, like the MEC. And when I say 1 minute, I think I'm trying to say we're not going to do the presentation all over again. It's really to respond where you need to respond and concisely just give your input, your last input. Yes, you can even come here.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think maybe I'll just highlight on certain things maybe that are relevant to my presentation. But I just wanted to comment firstly on the comment that Dr. Pukunzi made, sorry, in terms of demystifying the TVET colleges, especially when it comes to when you say to your child they must go to a TVET college. I don't know why is that, and I think they play such a big role. I have an experience of one of my nephews who couldn't qualify to go to university. And I encouraged him to go and start at the TVET college. And today, I'm proud to say that he's a law graduate, which if maybe somebody didn't open his eyes to say that this is the route that you can take to start here and continue with your studies, he couldn't have got a degree by now. So it's something that we need to really to start maybe working on as communities to make sure that our kids actually have a different understanding with that. And in terms of entrepreneurial promotion or entrepreneurship promotion, what I like about entrepreneurship is that it does not only apply in business. Entrepreneurial skills apply even in your personal life in terms of problem solving, taking risks and all that. It's not only in business, but it also apply in your life in general. So I think we need to make sure that we understand that in thoroughly. The other thing that actually came from Dade to me was in terms of why do we make entrepreneurship such a monster, or maybe something that is new in our environment or communities. I want to go back. My 1 minute, I'm sure it's gone. I'm sorry. But I wanted to go back to say that, to be honest with ourselves, I don't remember growing up with Ntate Mujanaga doing history. As young people at that time, we were introduced to entrepreneurship. I didn't know what it was. I only became aware when I was doing grade 11, I think, that I was aware of what was called business economics at the time. And I could see people in our townships, they were selling things, but it never came to my mind to say that this I can actually make career out of it. So we need to make sure that when we say that, we shouldn't take it for granted that entrepreneurship can open so many doors for people that are unemployed. It can actually make us our communities to be sociable and can actually be better. So we need to make sure that we keep on preaching. Wherever I am, I'm sure I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I preach entrepreneurship wherever I go. So please, let's just maybe continue doing that to me and make sure that you bear with our students that are coming from the university, that their ideas are not good. We're only starting now in terms of making sure that our students can come up with ideas and generate ideas that they can go out there. Remember, as the university, we are a theory university. It's only now that we are trying as much as possible to bring the practicality to our students. But I think we need to collaborate with you honestly so that we can actually make sure that the students are coming to you with proposals and ideas to come in to be funded. In terms of the economic policies that we need to look at, I totally agree. There are so many policies that we've created or we've changed or we've implemented policies, but when it comes to implementation and the English is gone, the practicality of it becomes difficult for implementation. And I'll go back in terms of networking and collaboration. Good policies are there, but how do we implement, how do we collaborate so that we can see things that are going to be implementable and are going to be fruitful to our economy? The last comment is that in terms of the psychology, as one of the, I think what you said earlier, as one of the courses or modules that we need to be careful that they're actually, not going to be fruitful in our communities. We're not saying that they need to go away. I didn't think that, Mpo, you made it clear to say that we can't do away with psychologists in our community, looking at what is happening to our young people. They are still important. But looking at the 21st century, where we are going, we need to prioritize those sectors that can create employment opportunities. And when we talk about industrialization, I can't agree with you more. We need to make sure that we, as a province, we link ourselves with research to say what is happening. There was a presentation that was made by Agri-SA at the university, I think 2-3 weeks back, and they were indicating to us, those that are coming from agriculture, how the water is going to be moving to which sections of the country. And as a province, we need to start thinking differently. If that is the case, that we're going to be missing water in the Free State province, what else can we do? It means agriculture as one of the core things that we're doing in the province. It's moving away. Then it means we need to look at something that can create employment opportunities, or maybe we can industrialize. Lastly, sorry. Okay, the comment from the lady in terms of what can they do in terms of, the support. Where do we say we are ending in terms of support? I believe in the method of train the trainer, especially when it comes to support and mentorship. We need to make sure that as institutions, when we say we're giving support, we're giving mentorship, we need to make sure that as we mentor, we have champions in those mentorship programs or in those trainings, the people that can train others. Government doesn't have funding, and we need to stop somewhere to say that we need to stop here. But somebody else, as communities, we need to take responsibility of the seed that we've planted as government or as private sector by organizations, to say the seed that we've planted, how do you continue growing that seed? So I think that's my last comment with that. We need to make sure that we use the model of training the trainers.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel. Thank you so much. And we can give to the next presenter, Dr. Benedict.
Thank you, Program Director. Thank you, colleagues, for your questions. But Winnie, thank you. I think wanted you to answer most of them. So I'll just touch on a few of them. I think the question from NYD about the success rate, if we actually know how many graduates are involved in entrepreneurship. Actually, we are working on a current study. I think Professor Nene is running that, our HOD for business management. So what we are doing is we are working with it in line with our alumni office to track all our graduates, to find out those students that have graduated, if currently they are involved in entrepreneurship, if they have opened businesses, and for how long. So I think it's going to be more like a longitudinal study, so it may take like 2 or 3 years, but currently we do check up on our students that have finished and that did take entrepreneurship and small business management. So that is an ongoing project of research. In the meantime, like some of the slides I showed us, we are in contact with some students that are currently running businesses, and we invite them from time to time to class to come and have a discussion with the current students about what they are doing. I think Ms. Pinky's questions about the qualifications and the prospects. I think on our part, when we sometimes show certain qualifications or work that we say this, that there aren't enough people who are employable in that sector, I would want to state that every subject and every discipline is very important. Even if we want to study Dutch or French or Susutu, everything is important. The problem is the numbers that we are churning out. You have humanities, and we have I mean, every time we have graduations, humanities is like triple what every other faculty is graduating or is producing. There are only so much or so many political scientists that we would need, or public administrators. So the problem seems to be that what is really needed by the country, we then produce a small number. But then we have so many people, anthropologists, you have 200 names, sociologists. How many anthropologists and sociologists do we really need? So people have all these degrees for the sake of finishing at university and then no work or employment. So I had a family friend whose child wanted to read law, but really didn't make up the points. And then they gave, I think there was something that they gave in humanities. And the father said, no, if you really have to take those subjects again and try again next year, then you rather sit back at home 1 year and repeat grade 12, or rather take matric again, than to pay for you to go to university for 4 years and you come out with this degree and then we struggle for you to find something to do. So the child still didn't make it for LLB, but still got in for a little bit of, I think it's a BCom law, and so on. So these are some of the things that we could look into. For the and agro processing, I think that was an advice from the MEC Finance to students, because she was presenting to the students to say, this is how much money is available for small businesses and for people to start businesses. And the students wanted to know, what is it? What type of businesses could we start that the department will be willing and ready to fund? And that was the number one on the list. For the informal economy and skills development, I think you've touched on that. And the emphasis on basic education, yes, I want to say that we do help, especially through our Faculty of Education. So there is a program, a project where the department actually trains maths teachers so that they can actually encourage students to take real maths instead of maths literacy. The problem is that whenever we have to admit students, we have a lot of the grade 11 and grade 12 students when we go to the schools to market. Then you have like, the whole school is doing maths literacy. We're like, why are you doing maths literacy? And they say, oh, but that's what the teacher said. The teacher said that maths is too difficult, so we must do maths literacy. Then even the teacher herself also can't teach maths, so maths literacy is better. And we don't take maths literacy for BCom. And if we don't take for BCom, law doesn't touch you, talk less of BSc. So now you're left with BA and humanities. And so we have this high number of people who finish with the humanities. Then only so much anthropologists and sociologists and political scientists would get jobs. And then the rest, then we just add to the unemployment. So that is the problem. So we actively do get that. But I think the whole thing has to be probably between higher education and basic education. There has to be that retraining, especially of the teachers that are, what do you, STEM? Yeah, the STEM teachers, the maths teachers. But I know that the Faculty of Education is currently busy with that, so that if the teachers can teach maths, then our children will have more options about the subjects that they can choose when they go to university. So for the funding, yes, we've got CIFA, we've got the NYDA and so on, but so we will encourage our students, I think, since we have some of the officials here, how best the students can actually be funded. So I think for now, I think my 1 minute is up, so I can give somebody else.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And the Dechomani, I think we'll give it unto you, and then we'll wrap up with our colleague, Tabele.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony. Mine is just to thank colleagues for the comments and questions. Ntate Dithebe, your challenges are here. They might not be answered now in terms of trying to assist you with the partnership, with the networking and the challenges, so that some of your challenges can be addressed directly. But in the report, that's what we are trying to do. The report would reach the relevant people, the EXCO, to say there are issues with these issues and they are not being addressed. That's why we have the colloquium. The report from the colloquium is to say out there, the partners, the community, the relevant people are saying these are the challenges and how best can we try to solve some of these challenges. Yes, it might take time. It's simply like the issue of trying to move the budget away from the social sector to the economic sector. It wasn't an issue before, but it's happening now. Money is trying to be moved to the relevant departments in a way. So it takes time, but this is the relevant platform where we start talking about the issues that face the country and trying to see how best can we try to solve some of those issues. Not all of them will be solved, but at least there would be a light at the end of the day to say some of these issues are being taken seriously, especially the issue of youth participation in the economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chomani.
Thank you so much for the comments. Dr. Omoshoro Jones, Dr. Mukwena went AWOL like yesterday during questions and answers, and I thought maybe one of my best mentors, Dr. Omoshoro, is gonna be step in, but he was the one asking questions. As you said, there is a gap on my presentation. As I mentioned before, like yesterday's presentation, there are some of the part of my slides that I removed because already Dr. Mukwena was excited about the presentation. So he took words out of my mouth on some of the things. The other things we'll discuss outside. Because I know you are going to give me more and more. Yes, because I am the product of Treasury. That's where I got the foundation after my career at become economics at University of the Free State. And then I did postgraduate diploma in business administration. And I'm very happy now. I heard now they are inviting stakeholders. When I was there, I never had an opportunity for them to invite other people to come and say how we can. In fact, we were taught to say after school you are going to work, instead of saying go and work for yourself and create employment. So now I'm glad they are initiating this entrepreneurship. So I hope it's going to be a success. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, as we wrap up, let us really give a big round of applause to our amazing presenters. It is a challenge. It is not just simple as that. So we really appreciate the braveness and the boldness to come and share this informative information with us. And we have someone to provide the presents just to show our gratitude and our appreciation for what you have delivered unto us and how you have contributed into the discussions. We thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, and this is bringing us to the end of our session. Now I'm between you and the lunch, but it's not going to be lunch. Yeah, colleagues, I'm just directed here to say we're going to have a very short lunch so that we can quickly come back and wrap up the other presentations where the other moderator will take over. But from my side, I just want to appreciate your participation, your contribution. We were working under pressure, but you made it possible for us to be able to run the session. And I think, as my last words, one thing that is a golden thread throughout what was discussed today, I think it is glaring, and it was a confirmation that there is still a huge gap between the skills that are being produced and what the employers are expecting. But also the presentation showed us that it is not doom and gloom. There is work that has been done. It seems that there is a shake-up in the higher education institution. Government is trying to come on board. But perhaps we need to add the element of the pace at which we are responding at that, and increasing, our initiatives and our interventions in trying to really target that area of skills development. From myself, I really want to appreciate all for your inputs and for your cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Can we just have a short lunch of about 30 minutes and then come back for the other 3 presentations? I apologize for the time taken and the delays and everything else, but the participation has been worth it, so we couldn't go. Yes. Yes, let's come back for about 1 hour, 30 minutes for the other 3 presentations on agriculture after lunch. It won't take that long. Let me just, I don't have time here. It's 1:45. Let's come back at 1:15. Yes, thank you very much.